Coming up on Jamaica Magazine today, details of a productivity study done on businesses in the midst of COVID-19, plus getting the right soil for your plants and backyard gardening, and words of motivation to get you back on track. Thanks for joining us. I'm your host, Adrian Atkinson. It all unfolds right after this important message.
Good day, I'm Theodore Henry, and this is your JIS News for Thursday, October 1. The agricultural and tourism sectors are to benefit from Phase 2 of the Rural Economic Development Initiative Ready 2 project. It was launched yesterday by Prime Minister Andrew Holness and the Jamaica Social Investment Fund, JSIF. Ready 2 will provide assistance to small and medium-sized enterprises and farmers to help them produce on a sustainable level and operate viable businesses. This second phase of the project is being financed through a loan of $40 million from the World Bank. During Wednesday's virtual launch, Prime Minister Holness said the initiative was important as the agriculture and tourism sectors combined accounted for about 18% of Jamaica's gross domestic product.
The second phase of the READY initiative represents a renewed focus on improving economies of scale for small and medium-sized enterprises involved in agriculture and community tourism, and mainstreaming climate resilience while enhancing market access for these businesses.
World Bank resident representative for Jamaica, Ozan Sivimli, added that in light of COVID-19's impact on the traditional sector, the hope was to advance community tourism under the Ready 2 project.
We want to increase livelihoods, we want to increase economic opportunities for the rural population and connect with the driver of Jamaica's economy, the tourism sector.
Phase 1 of the READY program is reported to have created 1,300 jobs and contributed to a 17% growth in the agricultural sector in 2016. This resulted in a $6 million reduction in the country's food import bill. Meanwhile, government will be taking strategic steps to facilitate the development of tourism in St. Thomas and the expansion of the sector along the south coast. Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett says government will continue to build out a framework of support which will include product development, training, infrastructural improvement, and access to financing for these areas. The ministry has developed a tourism destination development and management plan for St. Thomas, which is expected to be implemented by 2030.
It is critical. We put $1 billion Jamaican dollars at the Exim Bank for the simple purpose of lending to small and medium tourism enterprises across Jamaica to build their capacity to produce more goods and services for the industry.
Mr. Bartlett made the statements on Sunday as he addressed the Tourism Awareness Week 2020 Thanksgiving Church service hosted by Trumpet Call Ministries International in St. James. Education Minister Favour Williams says students and teachers will not need data to access government's online learning system come October 5 when school officially resumes. She gave the update during Tuesday's sitting of the House of Representatives at the Jamaica Conference Center in downtown Kingston. The Education Ministry is partnering with Flow, Digicel, and Ready TV to facilitate internet access and broadband services to enable teaching and learning utilizing the G Suite learning management system.
This means that all principals, teachers, students, and parents can now be engaged in virtual online teaching and learning activities without the need to utilize their personal internet data.
She says the ministry is also now completing negotiations for schools to have the bandwidth required to host lessons. An allocation to augment data support for teachers and students is also being considered.
All the technical processes are being implemented, including training of key stakeholders, and already over 952 schools have activated their account.
Minister Williams adds that Flow and Digicel will continue to offer their reduced education data plans, and Ready TV will continue the installation of its broadband internet in the 100 communities approved by the ministry. In light of the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, classes will resume virtually on October 5. Students will remain at home, where they will be able to access lessons virtually via television, radio, and cable, or through the delivery of printed materials. In the meantime, the Education Ministry will be providing assistance to cover the funeral expenses for 8-year-old Naomi Jones, who died tragically on the weekend at her home in Commodore St. Catherine. During a visit to the home on Tuesday, Minister Favour Williams assured the family members that grief counsellors from the ministry would continue to work with them. She expressed condolences and encouraged the grieving family not to despair, but to seek solace in their spiritual belief. Mrs. Williams said staff at the ministry were devastated by the untimely passing of the late Linstead primary and junior high school student. She was accompanied on the visit by members of the ministry's counseling unit, personnel from the regional office, the Child Protection and Family Services Agency, and officials from the Linstead primary and junior high school. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Theodore Henry. Thanks for watching.
To properly carry out a hand rub, apply a palmful of the product in your cupped hand, covering all surfaces. Rub your hands palm to palm. Rub your right palm over the back of your left hand with interlaced fingers and vice versa. Rub your hands palm to palm with fingers interlaced. Rub the back of your fingers to opposing palms with fingers interlocked. Rotationally rub backwards and forwards the clasped fingers of your right hand in your left palm and vice versa. Once your hands are dry, they are now safe.
Up next, the facts on business productivity in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Welcome to Get the Facts, the program that provides you with information on government's policies and initiatives. I'm your host, Enthros Campbell. How's your business doing in productivity? Do you need help? Well, today we're having a discussion with the Jamaica Productivity Center, the organization that promotes and supports productivity improvement at the national, sectoral, industry, and enterprise levels. Our guest is Chief Technical Director at the Jamaica Productivity Center, Tamar Nelson. Mrs. Nelson, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me, Enthros. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
We are happy to have you. Tell us, what is the role of the Jamaica Productivity Center and how it has helped in terms of improvements and efficiency to both private and public sector?
No problem. We are the national productivity organization in Jamaica and the oldest of its kind in the region. We are a tripartite organization comprised of the Ministry of the Government of Jamaica, the Jamaica Confederation of Trade Unions, and the Jamaica Employers Federation. And we have the mission of assisting the nation to improve its competitiveness, to grow, to innovate, and to be as competitive as possible. And we do this through our interventions of advocacy as it relates to productivity, also policy, research and measurement, and technical assistance.
Oh, so you're housed in the Ministry of Labour and Social Security?
That is correct, we are.
Okay.
And so some of the initiatives we are currently involved in are helping to bring awareness to productivity issues to the nation, to stakeholders, and we do that through different sensitization sessions. We host workshops and webinars to help to improve technical capacity, and we help, as you rightly mentioned previously, businesses in terms of their improvement initiatives through audits and technical assistance.
How long have you been around?
Wow. Well, I've been with this center for about 12 years now, and it started in 2003.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Now we're going through a pandemic.
Yes.
Right? Tell me, you have done a study recently about the impact of COVID.
Right.
Tell us about why you did it, what were the objectives, and what are the findings?
Well, a crisis such as the pandemic will no doubt affect productivity. It will affect your output, because if we go back to the whole definition of productivity. Productivity is how efficiently you translate your inputs into outputs, right? So it has to do with the whole process of conversion to your goods or services and how efficiently or effective they are done. And when you think about your inputs, you're thinking about labor, you're thinking about your capital, you're thinking about, your operating costs, your machinery, and all of those things are impacted by a pandemic such as COVID, right? So your supply chain is interrupted, demand is fluctuating, and so your productivity will be negatively impacted. And as a means of getting a grasp of what's happening in the space and how best we can serve the public, we did an impact study to find out how businesses were really reacting and coping with the challenges
When
faced.
was this done?
This was done in June of this year.
Tell us about the findings.
Well, some of the findings, just briefly, that we found is that 81% of the organizations that we surveyed had to reduce their staff complement, and about 68% of the respondents had a decrease in revenues or sales. On the other hand, we also had about 6% who were noting an increase in revenues during this period. So we are seeing, and then the rest are in the middle. So we, and we also found that those who had slim margins, financial margins, pre-COVID were the ones that were most significantly impacted during this time period. We did a survey as it relates to how persons were adjusting in terms of their work arrangements, and 95% of organizations that were studied had to change their work arrangements. And they found that these measures were very effective, and that was about 93% found that they were still able to maintain operations, and they found it either effective or very effective. And of that amount, about 32% said that they would continue these measures even after the pandemic has passed. So persons are seeing the benefit of, changing and innovating as it relates to how work is done.
So your survey, the one you did recently, has said a lot of businesses have suffered, many businesses have suffered, right? So from your research, what are some of the measures you'd give business people now to ensure that their business do well during this pandemic, because we don't know when it's going to end?
No, and some experts have said it's something we have to learn to live with. And so what we are seeing on a global scale is persons or businesses pivoting, changing how they operate.
How does one know if they're being productive enough?
As it relates to productivity, you're never there. There's always room for improvement. And what we should aim for is not settling with where we are or what we currently are doing and think that we are there, but to always push to see how can I be better tomorrow than today, and how was I better today than yesterday. And we believe that with that continuous improvement, that compounded over time, we will get those gains.
So you need to set targets and goals, and you need
Absolutely, and they need to be very specific, and it goes back to the point about measurement and how important that is. And culturally, locally, it's something that we don't spend enough time on. And so even when we go in to do an intervention with persons, there is no measurement in place to specifically target where the improvement needs to focus on. Because there will always be bottlenecks, there will always be gaps, and we need to focus on the priority ones that will give us the maximum benefit.
You spoke earlier about flexi work arrangement. You did a survey. Tell us what you found.
95% of the organizations had implementing flexi work arrangement. 95% of organizations that we surveyed had implemented flexible work arrangements in their organization, right? And also 93% said that those arrangements were either effective or very effective We also found that there were inhibitors to transitioning to a flexible work arrangement, which would include, for example, the infrastructure and the policies being in place, mindset, and the costs associated with transitioning were major inhibitors to persons transitioning to, for example, a work from home or a pod system or flexible schedules. And there are multiple that are available and persons locally have been employing. So those were some of the responses.
Right. Did you find that people were losing jobs because they're now working with the flexi work arrangement?
What we found is that overall, that 81% of organizations had to reduce their staff complement, right? So there have been job losses. As we mentioned earlier, that if persons were on the borderline before COVID, and when it hit, it was the last straw. So some persons have not been able, unfortunately, to keep their doors open, and that would have impacted.
So COVID-19 presented some challenges to the flexi work arrangement.
Challenge, but also opportunities.
Opportunities,
because
yes.
What COVID did was give us the green light, as it were, in terms of adopting what was available.
Yes.
And so persons have now had to embrace it to secure and safety of their staff and workers, and have seen the benefit of, for example, reduce costs, operating costs, because they're able to have persons work from home indefinitely. A number of companies have employed that, and so they have reduced square footage and able to use that to do more value-added activities within their business processes.
Okay. So now, if an organization is now having difficult productivity issues, tell us how they can reach out to you, and what can you do to help them?
Okay, so they can reach out to us at jpc@cwjamaica.com, or they can give us a call at 876-922-1598, and one of our team members would be happy to, discuss with them the opportunities and the tools that we have available.
A very good note to end on. Thank you so very much for coming to share with us today on Get the Facts. This has been Get the Facts. Our guest was Chief Technical Director at the Jamaica Productivity Center, Tamar Nelson. Until next time, when Get the Facts brings you, as always, more pertinent and useful information. I'm Rose Campbell. Do take good care, and thank you so much for watching.
Nutritious food, succulent dishes, superior workmanship, and excellent service. Jamaica is on the go. Let's grow what we eat and eat what we grow. Let's harness the indomitable spirit of our most valued resource, our people. Let's support our local businesses. After all, buying Jamaican means building Jamaica.
Original.
With backyard gardening being encouraged, we are also being reminded to practice composting to achieve rich fertilized soil.
Compost is one of the richest form of soil nutrient. So here we are buying fertilizer for huge sums of money, when in fact we are throwing away something which is richer in many regards than what we are buying, spending hard cash for. We, from time to time, do what we call garbage characterization survey. This is where we actually go island-wide and take samples of the garbage and look at what make up the garbage. All the surveys that are done in recent past points to one particular set of dynamic. The compostables are always the highest. 67% in some survey, 65% in some. We eat vegetables. We do ground provisions. the peelings from those. We use cardboards, newspapers, lots of stuff that can be broken down and can be put to good use. With such a high percentage of the solid waste being compostable, we are therefore forced to look at how we're going to manage in the best way possible, in the most efficient way possible, that high percentage of the garbage.
Composting is a rich form of soil that is broken down by microorganisms to become either fertilizer or soil. Now we're going to do a demonstration to show you how we can do it. First, if we're starting, this is our kitchen waste. So if you're starting a compost bin at home, you need to get your kitchen peel, your banana, your lettuce, your cabbage, your tomatoes, and you cut them in finer particles. It will make it break down much faster. In order for the microorganism to work effectively, you need moisture, you need air, and you need heat. You can use a hand shovel or your hands. Too much moisture will allow the stuff to rot and it won't be compost. And if it is too dry, the microorganisms won't be able to work effectively. So you need to get a right mixture. If you squeeze it with a fist, you shouldn't have any water running out of it. If it's dripping, it is okay. If it is running out of it, that means you have too much water. So now this is our compost. If you keep this moisture in your compost, it will give you a maturity rate of 3.5 months. And you'll get this final product, which is this right here. Compost, what it does, the longer it stays into the ground, is the richer it becomes. We're going to demonstrate how we use our compost for potting. We're going to pot a few plants using our compost. This plant is called spider fern. It is an indoor plant that does like a fair amount of water. It likes a light mixture. The composting can be used for indoor and outdoor plants. This plant is called a bougainvillea. It is an outdoor plant. It likes a lot of sunlight. It blooms a lot, and it likes dry areas. The compost is offer drainage. It doesn't keep the water too long. This is now 6 weeks old, and this is 3 weeks after being planted as a seedling, using our compost. And this bougainvillea is 6 weeks after being planted by our compost. And they're just blooming, blooming, blooming. This is a mature spider fern that we use for our rentals, and this is about 2.5 months old.
At the NSWMA, the parks that we manage, the beautiful flowers that you see there, the composting that is used to fertilize these plants are actually done within the department here at Parks and Gardens.
The other benefit is that we at the NSWMA, we would need less trucks. Now, right now, our biggest problem is trucks to remove garbage. Can you imagine if we could take out the 67%, which we could convert at source? What that would do to our national budget? Gas oil, repairs of trucks, labor to work on the trucks. Just look at it. It is huge savings that could come. Exponential is about getting a behavioral change at source that will see significant reduction in solid waste. We want to see this reduction and to see it in a very tangible way. And we believe that composting provides that excellent opportunity.
develop a sense of purpose that says you're not here by accident. You are here for greatness. You are here with destiny in mind. You are supposed to do something great, and you are on that pathway. There are persons who are in the departure lounge of life, at the end of their life, and they look back and they have regret because they never took time to uncover and develop a sense of purpose. Why am I here? What am I supposed to do before I leave this 7 billion people planet called Earth? What am I supposed to accomplish? Having a sense of greatness that's in you. You're talented, you have gifts and abilities. Some of you are good with numbers, some of you are good with words, some of you are good with both, some of you are artistic, creative, some of you are sports-oriented, and there are many things. And you take time to discover what are you passionate about. What can I just do naturally? I can jump out of my sleep and do it easily. Speaking now to your talents and abilities, your giftings. All of these come into your sense of purpose. The things that you are to do in life as you are to impact people. When you dream, when you close your eyes, what do you see yourself doing? And knowing that the sky is the limit. Second thing I want to say quickly is that you must learn to persevere. I heard Marquis speak about perseverance. Everybody say perseverance. Sometimes we don't achieve much because we give up too easily. You have to learn, if you want good, your nose have to. Yes, man, you have to get your feelings hurt and still go on. When I was doing my PhD, boy, a man tell me, man, people seem to like you. Wayne, why don't you just leave this program and go back to your country? You have a master's. The PhD is not for you. Why don't go and make money? And that was a racist comment because I was black. I was the only black person in the program. And he was saying things that hurt me, and I didn't want him to see me offended. I left his presence, went into my room, and I cried. But I decided to continue in my effort for excellence. Are you hearing me? And so perseverance means to continue a course of action in spite of difficulty, in spite of opposition. When they fight you down, when bad mind reach you, and they're fighting you down, and they say you're not the right gender, young ladies, and they say you don't deserve to be here, don't pay no attention, press on nonetheless. And it means you also have to have the right people around you. Be careful of the company you keep. As you go through life, you're going to make mistakes. As you go through life, you may fail at something. You want people around you who can encourage you to get up again.
This is where our journey ends, but only for today. Do join us again tomorrow when we bring you another informative program. In the meantime, stay connected via our website, jis.gov.jm. And while you're online, send your feedback to Jamaica Magazine at jis.gov.jm or via tweet at JIS News. On behalf of the entire production crew, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Thanks for watching.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.